we will continue to leverage AI, and of course, it will make our life easier. I remember a typical SOC analyst before the introduction of AI. An analyst, in fact, when I set up a SOC, it was the first incursion into the SOC implementation, and typically we had to just stay awake looking at the screen. We had to stay awake looking at the screen for dictations, and I just imagine how long will I spend my life looking at screens instead of actually living my life. But today it's better because you have systems that can actually, orchestrate, correlate, and even take action autonomously, and then give you reports. So the SOC analyst's life is not going to be spent looking at screens in the future. Basically, it will be for you to then program systems for better dictation. The impact of AI-powered attacks, you can go to the next page. I'll just quickly run through this. Threat to privacy and security. Of course, this is a big concern. Today, we speak about, privacy. I think it was this week, I was discussing with someone, and I said, it was a forensic engagement, cyber forensic engagement, and I said, see, with privacy laws, privacy legislations, the forensic person is basically meeting a lot of challenge, because a lot of data that used to be available when you are investigating, you now need to go and get either a court authorization or a police recommendation for you to even move further. But this information was everywhere before now. But today, they are all redacted. I want to see I'm doing an investigation on probably someone that is using an email account to send a threat to a staff, and the person has used one of the public email service providers. That server or system that the person sent that mail from is redacted. Unlike before, I could run a tracer and I'll pick the system that sent that mail. Today, it's not available. I have to go to where? To court, to then get an approval, to then be able to access that information. So data privacy, while it has its positives, also have its restrictions that is putting on investigation. Economic impact, it's also an issue. You understand, AI-driven attacks have economic consequences by causing disruption or damage to business and organizations that rely on machine learning models. Yes. And then increase in threat level, of course, with AI-driven or powered attacks. There is increase in threat level across every single domain you can imagine, because AI is a general purpose tool. You can put it to any use, positive and negative. Then, of course, challenges for cybersecurity professionals. The complexity of AI-driven attacks requires specialized skills, causing a knowledge gap. You can see, even in forensics, AI is having impact. Today, I think about 2 or 3 tools that I was, going through learning. Those tools have adapted. They are using AI. So, unlike before, where I have to go after my investigation, I have to then correlate and then generate report. With these tools, you could prompt the AI, and the AI will generate the reports, management report, detailed reports, and all kinds of reports. It will tell you the findings and all. So there is less work for the cybersecurity professional. But of course, on the flip side is that attackers are also leveraging this power of AI, and it is getting more complex for you to be able to even carry out investigation. So it's really a flip side kind of issue. And then legal and regulatory implication, of course. Organization may face increased regulatory scrutiny and need to comply with new laws like data privacy. Also, legal accountability for damages caused by AI-driven attacks are still evolving. I just wonder where we started discussing about cyber insurance with AI and the capacity of AI-driven attacks to cause maximum impact. Cyber insurance, where would that be in the future? And then AI enhancing targeting, of course, we've spoken about reconnaissance and all that. And then erosion of trust. We spoke about deepfake. So like I said, it will get to a point where you will be looking at a video and you will say, come. Even you will question yourself to say, are you sure I'm not the person? Do you understand what I just said? So you see a video of yourself carrying out an action you did not carry out, but you will question yourself to say, are you sure this is not me? You get to that point because hyper-realism, I'm telling you, these videos are getting stunningly realistic. I'm telling you. So it really, it's a big issue. Then, of course, national security risk. AI-driven attacks can target essential national services, posing risk to national security. Nation-states may use AI-driven attacks for espionage or part of cyber, warfare. This is already happening. So it's not even in the future, it is here with us. Please move to the next page. So what is happening to even AI itself? Really, this is just a pictorial depiction of adversarial attack on the AI infrastructure. I told you when I started this presentation, there was a news in CNN where an AI specialist was saying that they are starting to witness where AI prompts, questions to AI are generating false outcome. And basically everybody was wondering, how is this happening? But attackers are already preempting the future. So they are corrupting data that is being fed to the AI core. Attackers are always thinking ahead. They don't think for today, they think for tomorrow. They know the way AI is going. Once organizations start using it, they will use it first to defend themselves. So why wait for that time when you can do what? Corrupt the system today. And how do you corrupt the system? By feeding it misleading information. I was on X last night, and Grok is giving some funny prompts. Who is on X here? Yeah. And you ask the AI in question, and it's giving some funny prompts. But you will see, it's typically of technology. Like when I said garbage in. So if I feed you with a lot of rubbish data, what will you give me? Wrong information. Because the system, technology can be smarter. No matter how we make it smart. It's like if you take a child and you train that child on all the negative things in life, will that child be better when he grows to an adult? It won't. So this is the analogy that attackers are already using. They are corrupting the system even before the system is perfected. And that's why today, organizations are actually putting out guardrails. So you adopt AI, you implement guardrails, and you don't allow external data mixed with your internal data, so you can also take, correct, carry out correct analysis of non-toxic data. Because if you allow your data mix with corrupted data, the system will give you what? Either wrong information or partially correct information. This is exactly what is happening today. So data poisoning is real. So data poisoning, model poisoning, model skewing, and transfer learning. Those are real. Those are happening already. And attackers are doing all this. Go to the next page. Next. So AI-powered defense. We've spoken about what the adversaries are doing, but in terms of what we as cybersecurity professionals are doing is also very important. What are the defense mechanisms? Of course, AI capabilities to fortify cybersecurity defenses. We are actually adapting this. I don't think there's any tool today that I'm using that does not have some level of, AI integrated into it. Predictive threat dictation. Of course, we are using AI to model these threats. Today, I get threat intelligence feeds on what the attackers are even planning in the next 2 to 3 months. So I have this feed. I can take actions. I could improve my dictation capabilities within my systems, my security systems. And I can take preventive actions or proactive actions to mitigate them. Real-time defense, of course. Once I can build on this information, this advanced threat intelligence, I could then, prime my security defense systems or solutions to carry out predictive, more detailed predictive analysis, not defensive, but predictive. So I understand that this guy is going to come through this IP. He's going to try to touch on my firewall and disable it. He's going to try to then reach into my Active Directory and then run a golden ticket attack and then get admin credential. And then he's going to use this admin credential to then attack probably a database and then either corrupt the database or modify the database, affecting the integrity of data. I already know this. So it's like a thief coming into your house and you already had an advance letter. Before, years back, criminals used to write letter to streets in Lagos. Many years back, they will write and say, we are coming on this day. But when the police, the law enforcement got more emboldened, criminals don't have that audacity. So it's the same thing. If I have advanced intelligence and information, a criminal coming to my organization is going to advertise himself. So when he comes, I see him and I say, welcome. I can even walk him into a trap and then get all the details I need or more details I need about him or her and then run prosecution. So of course, enhanced user experience. AI-powered tools can simplify security management tasks such as user provisioning and access control. So basically, today, access management is one of the very, very tough jobs to do for anyone. Even once your numbers should be on 10, access management, because in organizations, you see people that left 20 years ago, their profiles are still running. Why? Everybody knows that immediately somebody leaves, you deactivate, and then you go across every system the person had access to, and then you disable the person's credentials on those systems. Because tail account is one of the leverage that threat actors use, because they are hardly being monitored, either by the owner, because the owner is no longer there. So if I log in with a tail account, nobody's going to complain. So that is one of the areas that every organization must manage, and AI is helping to do that. So what are the benefits? Go to the next page. We are almost rounding up. Benefits of using AI, of course, one is AI learns more over time, so it's self-adapting. AI identifies unknown threats, yes. Unlike where it is known, you feed a system known threats and it then tries to match it, maybe through use of signature. With behavior analysis, like AI models or machine learning, it can actually predict an attack pattern, not a signature. Then better overall security. Yes, of course, with use of AI, you have better overall security because AI doesn't go to sleep, AI doesn't get tired, AI doesn't go for lunch, AI doesn't go for breakfast or dinner, and AI doesn't take leave. You know, people that report to me every time they will come, guy, we want to go on vacation. And I say, why must you go on vacation? The criminals are not going on vacation. So why are you asking for a vacation? But as humans, they must go on vacation. Then reduce duplicate processes. You know, once the processes are duplicated, efficiency just goes down. So AI is able to streamline. It follows the best and shortest route. That's how AI systems are designed. And of course, AI accelerates detection and response times. Of course, mean time to respond and mean time to dictate are automatically increased with the use of AI. Go to the next page, please. Of course, what are the challenges? Integration with legacy system. So I advance my infrastructure and then I incorporate AI. But how about my legacy systems? Integration with legacy systems is a big challenge. These legacy systems, and once you leave them isolated on their own, they are not being monitored, they are not being evaluated, because okay, I think I have overshot my time and I need to close right now. So I'll just conclude by saying that cybersecurity experts cannot afford to take a reactive approach to adoption of AI anymore. It's not a reaction. It's not when something happens, I will then implement AI. We have to take a very proactive stance. We need to understand this technology. We need to quickly adapt this technology and, of course, introduce it to our everyday operation because it has promised to give us an enhanced operation, more efficient one, and, of course, the fear. Because I see a lot of people, there is this fear factor in terms of adapting AI. They say it's going to take over everyone's job. You understand? But today we are all crying to do what? Have less work. So if someone is coming to do the heavy lifting, why are you complaining? Why are you complaining? What we as individuals need to do is embrace the knowledge, acquire it, and then be professional subject matter experts when it comes to AI, and you will maintain your job. So that fear, for me, is non-existent. It's just for us to readapt ourselves, continue to learn and relearn, and then, of course, grow the knowledge. And, of course, you'll be a sought-after person and professional within the cyberspace when it comes to AI. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Emmanuel Okoroji for those transformative insights. It is now time for us to ask questions. At least you've spent some good time listening to that powerful speech. And now, from your own understanding, what do you think about what he has said so far? If you've got questions, please go to Google right now and type slido.com. Ask your questions live there. And we're going to be reading out your questions. My partner and I will be reading out your questions. And our speaker here will answer all of your questions. If you've got questions, go to slido.com and ask your questions. If AI is increasing, being integrated in the cyberspace, is there the possibility that it will replace people's jobs? If AI is increasing or being integrated in the cyberspace, is there the possibility that it will replace people's jobs?
Okay, thank you for that question. I will answer, because if you look at the evolution of technology, sorry. So if you look at the evolution of technology, you will notice that it follows a given pattern. Years back, when desktops and laptops became predominantly used by organizations, there was this fear that secretaries would not be needed because everybody could type their own memo and all that. I just joined the structured organizations then, and there was this rave that secretaries should be abolished. Organizations were buying systems, and the idea was that there won't be need for secretaries. But today there are still secretaries. They are not. We still have secretaries. They still carry out their job, even with systems. So basically what happened was there was a retooling, reskilling, and these secretaries are even paid better today than when they were typists. They used to call them typists then. But today there is a more refined name, say secretary, carries prestige, huge salary. But they just added additional jobs. So would AI replace cybersecurity professionals? I think I answered that question while doing the presentation. I don't know, definitely not. Would it lead to retooling, reskilling? Of course. And the only people that would suffer an adverse consequence of adoption of AI are people that are not adaptable. If you are not adaptable, you are not ready to reskill or retool yourself or relearn, then you might find yourself at the other end of the entire engagement. I hope that answers that question. Yes.
Thank you very much for answering that question. Another question is, are there custom AI tools that hackers leverage to hack organizations, or do they leverage the same AI tools that regular users make use of, like ChatGPT and Gemini?
Okay, so if you have, I also try at the early advent of ChatGPT and Gemini and the other variants of the GPTs. I try to bypass the ethical boundaries that they have introduced, and I found out that they are really strong. When you say develop a code that will enable me to exploit a vulnerability, it just tells you, sorry, I can't do that. Earlier on, it was a bit, you could do that, but I think over time they are getting better. But yes, there are custom AI tools that attackers are leveraging, and those tools that exist, and also they are being propagated and actually given for free within the dark web operation. If you operate within that space, you will see those tools. They're there, and basically they are open source. They have even better and stronger algorithms than what has been released for our own public consumption. But from my knowledge and experience, they all operate on the same principles, and of course they have the same core.
Thank you so much for that answer, sir. Before we continue, it has come to our attention that some people in the hall do not have the code for the Slido website. If you have any questions, please log on to slido.com, slido.com, and enter the code 1728688. If you require any assistance, please call any member of the team you see passing by. Thank you. The next question we have is, where is the balance between a certified cybersecurity person with little or no experience and a non-certified 19-year-old who is self-taught and highly skilled?
Okay, I think the academic webinar that we had, I think was like on Saturday, we actually answered this question thoroughly. I will just give a summary to that answer. So, experience, self-taught, without certification, and you're certified and you don't have the knowledge. You see, the reality is that even as a recruiter, because I do onboard a lot of people, do assessments for people that are trying to join my organization. I have developed a mechanism for filtering out people that have no experience but that have certification. There are a lot of that because Nigeria is basically a certification-driven nation. I've seen people without the body of knowledge, but you'll be surprised how they acquire some certain certification that require 11 years hands-on field experience. And you see someone that has done 2 years, 3 years work experience having a certification that requires 11 years field experience. How is that possible? But yes, it's a possibility. You could actually cascade those experiences and then be able to aggregate that 11 years within a very short timeline. And of course, you can write the certification and pass. We all know about dumps. People do dumps. I don't do dumps, but I know a lot of people that do dumps. They just go get an exam dump, read through it, and then the next day they go and look out if there are matches to the question and they tick off and they pass. So all these things are known, and we all, one way or the other, either know or have done them. But the reality is this. That's why you have assessment centers when you are joining an organization, when you are giving a use case for you to then go through, when you are then put through an assessment center, you are asked questions on how you provide feedback. A recruiter basically would be able to differentiate whether you have the body of knowledge or you just went and did a dump and passed an exam. But how would I land it in terms of a young guy of 19 that does not have the requisite experience, hands-on experience by doing labs and all that, and does not have certification? Of course, everybody should be given an opportunity. If you can answer the questions, you can demonstrate it. Of course, you should be given an opportunity to then acquire that experience in a practical environment. That would be my response to this.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel, Okoroji, for those questions that have been answered. I really appreciate them. We're done for the questions and answer session right now. And please put your hands together one more time for our speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.